Hi, this is Justin from Body Shape Transformation Center, and in this video you're going to be learning all about how to end emotional eating with the 7 steps to lasting transformation. So we'll keep this video about 30 minutes maximum and keep it really practical so you can go and use it right away. So first, let's go through exactly what you're going to learn on this video. First of all, we're going to learn why we suffer from emotional eating and exactly what it is and how to identify it. We'll cover the 7 steps to create lasting change in your life, and we've covered this in another video, but we'll do a quick recap, and this time we're going to get a lot more specific into situations that involve emotional eating in particular, and then how to replace self-sabotaging behaviors with positive, empowering behaviors, so you can then be on track to reach any goal you want. So, first we'll do a quick recap. You should have watched the videos from last week, but if you haven't yet, I would recommend you go and do so. But if you're just new to this, then we're going to do a quick recap. And again, if some of this doesn't make sense at first, go back and watch the videos from last week and it will all make more sense. So, we only do, say, or think anything because we believe it will fill a human need. And we all have 6 basic human needs. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, we have these same needs. They're psychologically proven. And these are the reasons you do or don't do anything. So, if you've been asking yourself, why do I eat this food when I say I don't want to eat the food, or why do I not go to my workout when I say I do want to go to my workout, we can determine it's because of one of these human needs being met. And therefore, most people keep their problems and defend their problems because it meets their needs. You know how you have a problem about something and somebody offers you a solution, but then you fight for all the reasons you can't change or the reasons you can't do something. That's just, again, you trying to meet your human needs. And again, this is often unconscious. We don't realize why or how we're doing it, but on further inspection, this is what you'll see is quite obvious. And those problems, our problems around food or our self-image, allow us to meet our needs without risking the 2 primary fears. So before we do a quick recap on the needs, let's just talk about what those 2 primary fears in life are. The first one is that if we try and fail at something, we won't be enough, we won't be good enough, and we'll feel bad about ourselves, we will judge ourselves. And the second primary fear we have is that we'll be criticized and judged and lose acceptance from other people. So basically the theme here is that we're afraid of judgment, and because of that we don't change our behaviors in the way that we say we want to. So whenever you fail to take action in life, it is because of these 2 fears. So this is why you keep doing the habits and behaviors you say you prefer not to, and it's also why you don't take up new habits which you say you prefer you would do. Let's quickly go back over the 6 human needs to put it into perspective for this video. So we have 6 needs. 4 of those are the basic needs for survival, and the 2 higher needs are for fulfillment in life. So these needs are certainty or security, uncertainty and variety, significance and uniqueness, connection, acceptance and love. And then the higher needs are growth and contribution. So let's talk about each of those quickly. So let's just ask yourself right now, how do you try to meet these human needs with food? So we're talking all about emotional eating today. Now, your source of emotional eating could be 1, 2, or more of those needs. We're going to help you identify which ones it is so that you can replace those behaviors with other sustainable alternatives. So let's talk about each need in turn, and you can start identifying where you might be having these patterns, and everyone is different. So the first need is certainty, and this is the certainty of having comfort in our lives and being able to avoid pain. Now, we can get certainty from eating foods, from drugs, from smoking, even from having a spiritual belief. Basically, it can be a positive or a negative way. So how do your eating habits or your physical actions meet your need for certainty? Now, the important thing to remember is with all these human needs, most of them are actually just illusions, because the only needs we have for survival really are food, water, and shelter. And those needs have been met in our society a long time ago. And now the part of your brain that perceives it needs to meet these needs looks for other ways just to be certain. Okay, but usually we find ways to meet the need for certainty that don't really need to be there. So again, how are your eating habits meeting needs for certainty? Now, if you're a person who is craving certainty and you have emotional eating, then this might be the times when we know food will make us feel better in uncertain times. So if you're dealing with stress or anxiety or worry or any future-based worrying, okay, if your mind is always in the future and you crave certainty because you don't know how things are going to work out, then you will tend to be someone who runs to a certain particular food because you know it makes you feel good. And it's the only thing you know for certain that will make your brain feel good and relax your body. So if you are one of the people who has maybe cigarettes or food or drug use in times of stress, anxiety and worry, you can be pretty sure that you're trying to meet your need for certainty. And this is quite a popular one. So have a look at your habits again and see if this is the case for you. Next, the second need is for uncertainty or variety. So again, this need can come from eating, drugs, smoking, or even a spiritual belief, all the same things again. Now we need uncertainty because if we have too much certainty, then life becomes too much of a routine. Now we want some routine because we want to know that everything is in order and we can predict our lives. But then we also want uncertainty and variety because we want some surprise, we want some new things in life, and we want to experience different things. So how do most people meet their needs for uncertainty, do you think? And more importantly, how are you meeting your needs for uncertainty through food? Now, in most cases, this is where we find emotional eating linked with boredom, when you need variety in your life. So if you're the type of person who eats certain foods or does whatever it is because of boredom, because you have too much routine, because you're stuck in a routine, this is your way of meeting a need for variety. So this could be different situations making you feel bored, such as maybe your workplace. If you don't find much enjoyment from work, but by 10 o'clock in the morning you'll be looking for a sugary snack or something just to fill some illusion need inside of you. It could be when you go home from work. It could be situations that you don't realize you're bored, but really it's a situation that never changes, always repeats itself, and doesn't really have a big effect on your life. So that could be maybe at home in the evenings if you spend a lot of time watching TV at night. If you go through the same routine with your partner every day, you both come home from work at 6 o'clock, then you both just sit down, just watch soap operas and rubbish on TV, and that's all you do, then you'll probably find yourself looking for the finger foods, looking for snacks or different alcoholic drinks maybe, just to get some type of variety. Okay, so the next one then is significance. Now, significance is a very important human need. Maybe after certainty is the most popular one, significance could be number 2. Now, this is our need to have an identity, to feel unique, to feel special, needed, important, and to be seen as individual in some way. Now, some people find significance through their achievements. Some people find significance through having big problems. Some people find significance through having more money, or joining a side or a team, or supporting a certain football team, or being a strong, avid supporter of a religion, or a certain cult, or a team, or a club, or whatever it might be. And you can also get significance through things like having tattoos, also violence and bullying. If you know anyone who experiences violence or bullying, that's usually the easiest way to achieve significance over new people. And again, significance habits can be negative, neutral, or positive. So we can gain significance in positive ways, or we can do it in negative, destructive ways. Now, if you've been struggling with a problem for a long time without resolving it, it's likely that problem is meeting your need for significance. So if emotional eating has been a problem for a while and it hasn't changed, or if your self-image and self-esteem has been a problem, or if you've been overweight for a long time, it's likely that having this problem is actually meeting your need for significance and giving you an identity, a unique identity that your brain is telling you you need to keep for survival. So you might make up problems as a defense from taking any action. And again, it sounds ridiculous on the surface. Why would we keep our problems and rather than take action and change them? But this is how the lower levels of your brain work, and it tricks you into making justifications to think you're doing the right thing. And it takes a level of honesty and awareness for us to admit this, but it is vital to make this realization for any change to occur. So spend a bit more time identifying this need, because it's a little harder to find usually. Now, this need usually crops up when we need to feel special to our children, or maybe to partners or other people. It's if you love to be a host or a provider to keep that person's love and acceptance, then this is where emotional eating patterns may come up here. Now, the reason significance is very hard to find is because we usually relate the excuses to other people and take the blame away from ourselves. So, for example, I was speaking to one client not long ago, and I've had this conversation hundreds of times, where it starts off with she tells me that she feels really bad because she didn't stick to the nutrition guidelines and ate a bowl full of cookies. And I asked her why were the cookies in the house in the first place, since she knows she's on a healthy eating plan. And she tells me, oh, well, I buy them for my children. So the first thing I ask is, why are you stealing your children's food? But the second thing, the more important thing, is basically this is where that lady has a need for significance. So she's bringing the cookies into the house and then using the cover-up of it's for the children, and feeling she has to have them to give them to the children in order to get their love and acceptance, or if not, she might think of herself as not being a good mum. Now, if we really asked about those things and got to the bottom of it, she would clearly see that that doesn't make her a bad mum not to give their kids unhealthy sweets. But from the outset, the brain will trick you into these things without thinking about them. Okay, and any of these beliefs are just thoughts that you think, but without questioning them. When you question most of our beliefs, they tend to fall apart very quickly, and then we can take up new beliefs that serve us. So if you find yourself eating foods that you say you don't prefer to eat, and you're relating that to other people by saying it's because of this person, or because you did it for this person, or because it makes you feel better in some way because it helps them, this is actually your need for significance and feeling needed by that person creeping in. So have a look where you might be doing that in your life. Especially if you like to be the host or the provider type of person, this is what you'll be doing. So the fourth need is for connection or acceptance and love from other people in our lives. Now, we attach our self-worth to things around us, including food. So when you feel low and you choose to change that negative state, we often choose to do it with food, because we know that food can make us feel good very quickly, and you will have then met a need for connection and acceptance, even if it's with that food. So especially people, if you're with friends, you'll see this with peer pressure to fit in, if you have a fear of disconnect from people, and this is where the usual story of, I ate the pizza because I was out with my friends and they wanted to go to a pizza place and then I had to have pizza. Okay, and remember, the choice is always yours, and on further inspection again, when we break this down and ask the questions, is it really your choice what you eat? Did they force you to eat the pizza? Then we all realize, of course, it was our choice and we gave in to peer pressure. And that was just to fit in, because deep down we were afraid that if we change the habits too much from our friends, we might lose their friendship or their acceptance. So if you find yourself eating and drinking the wrong things in those cases, it's to do with a need for connection and acceptance. Now, the fifth and sixth needs, growth and contribution. Like we said last time, all of us will meet our 4 basic survival needs somehow. Your body will find a way to meet those, and has found a way to meet those before you even knew what they were. So that might be a positive way, or if you're more aware, or if you're unaware, it might be a destructive way. But the 1% of people who are successful, happy and fulfilled have also met their 2 higher needs. Now, the meeting the higher needs isn't as automatic. You have to do that yourself. So remember, with growth, we're either growing or we're dying, basically. We're going backwards. So growth is very important for us. And contribution is important because lasting fulfillment only comes from giving beyond ourselves. So can you think of how other people will benefit from you succeeding in your body and mental transformation goals? And the truth is, we said last time, most people believe that those they love will be hurt by them reaching their goals because they risk a loss of connection, certainty and significance. So remember, in this case, if you might feel that if you don't eat the foods that you don't want to eat, then you might risk the loss of connection with other people, you might risk the loss of certainty, and you might lose your significance, but all in your mind, really. This is all a lie. You must actually put on your own gas mask first and grow yourself so that you can then contribute to others in a positive, sustainable way. And we also said that if a specific behavior or emotional state, so if eating a particular food, an emotional eating food, meets 3 or more of your needs, this creates an addiction. So maybe eating that certain food like the pizza or drinking wine, for example, maybe you get certainty, you do it because you're stressed quite a lot and you do it for certainty, but you also do it with your friends who also happen to be stressed too. So you do it for connection, acceptance, and maybe you all do it because at the time when you're all bored, which may be Wednesday night after work, for example, and you have a routine of doing that, so it gives you some variety as well. If that was the case, then with all 3 met, this becomes an addiction that's very, very hard to stop until you become aware of the problem. Because if you have an addiction that you don't know is an addiction, there's no way to get rid of it. So even though you can feel good empowering emotions at will, like we did demonstrated at the workshop, we showed by changing a few things you can feel good, but you might still have an addiction to a certain emotional eating pattern. So why choose to be happy when being unhappy can meet all your needs without risking the 2 things we talked about earlier, judgment of yourself and judgment from other people? So by going through the 7 steps of lasting change, we can identify, redefine and change those patterns of addiction. We can also find alternative ways to meet your needs, ways that are sustainable and fulfilling. Now again, it might seem like we're repeating things over and over again here, and that's because this is all part of your conditioning. Because if I told you this stuff once, you'd never go back to it and you'd be looking for the next thing to try and change, the next solution, the next different thing. So by learning this stuff over and over and over again every day, it will become part of your lifestyle. So The 7 steps to create lasting transformation are: number 1, identifying those patterns of emotional eating. Like we said, finding the situations where you're doing this, and then it's to break that pattern. Step 2, we're going to break that pattern so you catch yourself doing it, because a habit is very unconscious. You don't realize what you're doing sometimes. We need to break the pattern by becoming aware of it. Third, we're going to find your leverage and then find your motivation for making change. Fourth, we can redefine the problem and see what's really going on. What need are you really trying to meet? Then once we know that, we can go to step 5 and create an alternative behavior for you, one that actually meets those needs in a positive way. Number 6, we'll start conditioning that new behavior, so you keep repeating the new behavior to meet that need, and it's one that meets your long-term goals as well, not just the short-term goals. And number 7, we'll find a way to relate your transformation to a higher purpose and how it gives you growth and contribution, so that this change will not just make you satisfied or content, it'll actually make you fulfilled and a new person inside. It'll give you a whole new identity, which will totally change this whole pattern for you. So in the next video, we're going to go into the 7 steps and how they relate specifically to emotional eating.